Let's talk about how you can disconnect yourself from people who engage in malicious gossip. Hi, my name is Dr. Natalie Jones. I'm a licensed mental health counselor. I've been counseling men and women who have been victims and perpetrators of abuse for many years now. And I did a post about, people who, people who engage in malicious gossip or fodder. And this person kindly asked, how do you disassociate yourself from this kind of person if you have mutual friends? And this is a good question. And I guess everyone is going to be different based on your comfort level, and here's what I would say. The first thing I would say is you can't heal in the same environment that hurt you, and you can't heal around the same people who hurt you and hurt other people. So that's number one. Number two is there's an old saying, you are the company that you keep. So you would really have to evaluate your mutual friends to see if they're actually mutual friends, or are they just part of the toxic collective? Are they friends who get together to gossip, to be negative and sort of trade toxic information? In other words, are they true friends, or are they just fair weather friends who get together and gossip whenever, they want to, be toxic and be negative? And so you have to think about that for yourself, because in my experience, when you have people that kind of collectively hang together and engage in the same type of stuff, they're not truly your friends. And maybe you haven't seen evidence of that yet because you haven't been put in circumstances that will prove that to you yet. But trust and believe, if people are sort of, collectively hanging out and gossiping and talking trash, you guys are not friends, and I don't care where it is. If it could be at work, it could be, wherever, it could be neighbors, it could be whomever. There will come a chance, if you associate yourself with these people long enough, there will come an opportunity where you will find out just, you'll find out just how little you mean to people like that. So this is really more about what works for you. This is where you have to get very selfish and start thinking about what's best for you. And a lot of times we often overthink how we should move in relationships because we've been conditioned, especially if you have a history of being around toxic people. You've been conditioned to be the bigger person, or they haven't done anything to you, or why don't you just, have a conversation and things like that. To each his own with that. But me, I personally feel that you can judge a person's behavior based off of their actions. You should be judging it. You should be doing relationship assessments quarterly to see, if you are aligned with people based on core values and character and morals. But that's just me. And so it's kind of like when you go out and you diet and you exercise, when you're ready to go on your diet, you're not typically asking well, how much should I diet? How much should I exercise? Unless you're trying to figure out a plan, but it's not usually one based in if I do it this way, if I do it that way, am I going to be a bad person? So there's not usually that type of emotion connected to it. This only comes up in relationships. And what I'm suggesting is be more logical about it, more matter of fact, and be less apologetic about it. You have to do what works for you. And so you can pull these other friends to the side and say, I don't engage in that kind of stuff. And I'm happy to have a good time with you guys and keep the time that we spend together short. so that we're doing fun stuff, but I'm not going to engage in gossip. You can try that, but again, there will come a time when you will find out exactly who these people are. And most people who engage in toxic gossip are not cool just being like superficial friends. They're typically going to bring that negativity into the situation one way or another. There's going to be a testing of the boundaries, so to speak. Or you could say, you know what, I've assessed these people, I've assessed the situation, and I figured out that I'm not aligned. So let me move around. Let me get other friends. Let me get other interests, other hobbies, and start spending more time in other situations with other people, just so this isn't my core group of friends, and I don't feel like I have to be super attached or super connected to them. So when you spread yourself out a little bit more, you have a lot more friends to choose from. So it doesn't feel like you're really losing a whole lot of eggs out of the basket, if that makes sense. Now, if you guys are long time friends, like if you guys have been friends since you so-and-so was in the 3rd grade and all that there, then you can certainly have a conversation about it. But again, if that person has been that way ever since you've known them, chances are that's who they are at their core. So that's just something for you to take under advisement. You're more than welcome to have a conversation with them. Let them know what behaviors aren't aligned. But my advice would be is to create a healthy amount of distance, get more friends, get more support. Get more people that you hang around in terms of hobbies and passions and interests, and just spread yourself out. Start spending time with other people. Start going other places, doing other things, and don't be so attached. But distance yourself from people who are toxic, because it's just a matter of time before they bring that bone to your front door and they hurt you with it. And you can mark my words on that one. Sometimes the circumstances don't present themselves right away, but eventually they will. And you'll wish you would have paid attention to the signs and acted accordingly much earlier on. So let me know how this feels to you. Like, follow, and share if this has been helpful. Hope that answers your question. Thanks so much for asking.